In the 1980s, Georgia's Hispanic population was beginning to take root across the state. Shaped by waves of migration, labor opportunities, and the pursuit of a better life. Over the decades, that growth accelerated. Today, more than 1 million Hispanic and Latinx residents call Georgia home, contributing to every corner of the state, from rural farms to urban neighborhoods, from classrooms to boardrooms. Their presence is woven into the fabric of Georgia's economy, culture, and civic life. And across the state, families and leaders continue to build, creating programs, forming coalitions, and nurturing the next generation. Across the state, Georgia's Hispanic communities reflect a mosaic of cultures, languages, and lived experiences. From first-generation immigrants to multi-generational families, the community continues to grow, not just in size, but in strength. In this landscape, organizations like the Latino Community Fund and Georgia LatinX Alliance have emerged as pillars of support, each rooted in the belief that identity is a source of power and pride.
I migrated to the United States when I was 8 years old, and my entire life I've always been the voice for my family. I was the first one to learn English, so ever since I was 8 years old I've been doing family interpretations, which grew into interpretations for other students, and then volunteering for Latinos, serving organizations in my school. And so right after graduating from my alma mater, I went right into nonprofit work, and it just made sense for me to join the Latino Community Fund, and it had just incorporated in that year. My name is Pedro Viloria, and I am the Director of Community Impact and Wellbeing for the Latino Community Fund, Georgia. The Latino Community Fund is first a membership organization. We have over 40 Latino-led and Latino-serving member organizations all across the state, and we try to operate in counties where we know Latino community members are concentrated. So aside from being statewide, we are predominantly in Tifton County, in South Georgia, Valdosta, the metro area, since we understand that Latinos live in the surrounding counties, not necessarily in Fulton County, in Atlanta proper, and then Dalton, as well as Hall County, which are big Latino populations. We're also a funding organization, and so we'd like to procure funding not just for our organization and our operatives, but for our member organizations, so that they can continue performing and providing services to community. And lastly, we're a direct service organization, so we offer a plethora of services, including voter registration, advocacy, and health screenings.
I was inspired to become a part of the LatinX Alliance just because I was really looking for a group to belong to. The work that I do in nonprofit with the community inspires me to represent and to advocate for those very vulnerable voices. So this was an opportunity for me to come together with other folks in our community throughout so many different sectors, and just for us to be able to work together and advance opportunities for our community. My name is Stephanie Correas. I'm the Executive Director of Los Vecinos de Beaufort Highway. I represent the nonprofit sector as part of the LatinX Alliance. The mission of the LatinX Alliance is to work alongside allies to create opportunities and build relationships, also to create systemic change across different sectors for the Latinx community, and that's through business, philanthropy, and media.
It's an opportunity for professionals and leaders from different sectors to pull together their experiences and their resources for the advancement of the Latino community in the state of Georgia. Hi, my name is Ricardo Ramos. I am the Executive Director and founder of a nonprofit called Gracias ATL. And so Gracias ATL is a 501c3 that focuses on expanding access to higher education in Latino communities. I'm part of the Georgia LatinX Alliance from the nonprofit sector. So my parents are of Mexican descent, but I grew up in Gwinnett County. And so I got into the nonprofit sector when I founded my nonprofit in my last year of undergrad at Georgia Tech. And so after a year of heavy involvement, I got invited by Jerry Gonzalez, who's the CEO of Galileo. And so he told me about this coalition, this opportunity that presented itself. And so I went to the first meeting, and that's how I got started with that.
All around Georgia, families are finding support in spaces shaped by care and cultural understanding. Whether it be through youth programs or health initiatives, these efforts reflect the everyday realities of the communities they serve. They're built not just to provide services, but to foster connection, dignity, and trust, led by people who know that meaningful change begins with listening and working together.
So we offer a plethora of services through our programs. We have our civic participation program, we have our health and well-being program, our advocacy program. Every single one of our operatives is a collaborative. So our Soccer Academy program is actually one of my favorite programs. I really am so inspired by the outcomes of this program, and we started, I believe, 3 years ago was our very first iteration of this. And so the point of the program really is a two-generational approach. We understand the cultural impact of soccer in our communities and how interesting it is. And so we do want to make sure that we offer students that generally in the summer would not be able to afford to participate in this program and maybe be exposed to negative influences to spend all of June. And so this is a June month-long program. We meet Mondays through Thursday every single day of the week during the month of June. And we register 45 kids that do the soccer programming.
When I first entered the nonprofit sector, the opportunities and the connections, they snowball. You know, you start learning about more organizations, you start learning about more opportunities to get involved. And so, you know, you just pick the ones that most call out to you and you focus on those ones. And so one of the involvements was like, I love soccer. And so I got to coach soccer. And then through that soccer academy, given my experience in of the Latino community, and then given my soccer coaching credentials, they've asked me to coach the, I think it's called Second Gen Soccer Academy at Doraville. Just being able to talk to these young kids, you know, get them inspired, get them motivated, and get them on the right path. It's very rewarding, it's very inspiring, and then it was very shocking to come back after a whole year and then they still remember me, they still remember my name. You know, they're little kids are gonna be hilarious, no matter the age. So it's always a great experience interacting with them, talking about different things, and it's a great way for me to keep my soccer skills in shape.
Ha sido un impacto muy positivo. Mis hijos han aprendido mucho. Nosotros hemos participado estos 3 años en el campamento de fútbol y hemos visto a los otros niños también cómo han crecido y se han hecho esa amistad bonita. Y lo que más me gusta es la inclusión que tienen, el respeto hacia ellos. Los coaches les enseñan bastante. Mi hija mayor tiene autismo. Entonces los niños aprendieron ya a convivir con ella, la quieren, entonces es algo muy bonito lo que también les enseña la inclusión a nuestros niños.
Pienso de que yo lo que espero es de que esto no se detenga, porque si hacemos una comparación de años atrás versus en la actualidad, hoy en día hay un poco más de recursos para la comunidad latina, para las familias. Y si hacemos esa comparación, creo que poco a poco se está avanzando. Y puedo decir de que si esto sigue así, creo que vamos a seguir impulsando la salud, la educación, con el resto de familias que todavía la están pensando para involucrarse.
The Soccer Academy really is just an encapsulation of everything. But while the kids are doing the soccer programming, we stay with their parents. And we offer a plethora of health services, including our health workshops, which includes diabetes, adult nutrition, pediatric nutrition, patient know your rights, tenant know your rights. We offer our health screenings as well, so free glucose, free cholesterol, free blood pressure screenings, as well as medical referrals. I would say over 80 to 90% of the community members we serve with our screenings are uninsured or have no primary care physician. So it is one of our priorities to make sure that they're connected to a local clinic or health provider to make sure that they can continue their care. And we offer these services in most Latin American consulates here in the state and the Latin American Association. So we're at the Mexican consulate, the Ecuador consulate, Peru, El Salvador. If there is a Latin American consulate, we try to be there to offer these free services. Like I mentioned, besides the free screenings, we offer medical referrals. So if the community member is uninsured or does not have a medical provider in their area, that's really important. We don't want to send somebody a mile, an hour, 2 hours away from where they're living. We want to make sure that they have a local clinic. So we connect them with local providers. We also connect them if they need a specific need beyond healthcare. So if it's housing, if they need legal representation, we do try to connect them with one of our member organizations or another partner organization that can provide those services.
In the homes and hearts of families, the impact of these programs resonates deeply. For many, they offer more than services. They offer connection, confidence, and a sense of belonging. But it's the leaders behind these programs and the communities that each bring their own perspectives to work towards their shared goals. Through their shared resources, they can amplify their impact and build lasting relationships across all communities.
One of the great things about the LatinX Alliance, and one of the reasons I joined, is that like any involvement, it's an opportunity, it's a platform. And so it allows, while my nonprofit, when I manage, deals with higher education, being part of this LatinX Alliance allows me to not only learn about different sectors, but get involved in those sectors.
This is a space for us to also take to our passions and what really drives us. So, we have breakout groups, one for policy and advocacy, for instance, one for communication and changing the narrative, one for leadership development. So we've really divvied up and taken to what is natural and what we most like, and we've gotten to work. So our smaller groups meet maybe on a weekly or monthly basis. And it's really just a great way, again, for so many of us that might not have the opportunity to work directly with one another, to do so for very specific initiatives and, just the advancement, the betterment of our communities.
The LatinX Alliance is becoming a very diverse group, and not just in ages and experience, but also sectors. So that's a great way for different people to be represented. I think the main thing that helps with the variety is that the quarterly meetings, its location always shifts.
We've been to Gainesville, we've been to Columbus, South Georgia, and it's really just making sure that we can all come together in different areas of the state and not focus so much in the metro area, or not just be in the city or allocating resources, or everything that we do is, only for Atlanta, when we know we have such big representation of our community in rural areas and coastal areas. So making sure that we're intentional about actually visiting those areas and spending time there, and getting to know the folks there, not just coming in and saying, oh, we're this big LatinX Alliance and we're leaders from all over these sectors and we're here to do all these things. No, it's very intentional about finding folks on the ground, people in the community that are doing the work, school teachers, counselors, folks that are leading the charge in every way, but really just embracing the local community and making sure that we're taking consideration of them and really wanting to build those relationships, because it's not for us to just show up and do a one-off event or do just one workshop for families, but to also stay in touch, to be able to continue to support the folks in those areas, all the way from Metro Atlanta, Gwinnett, DeKalb County, wherever we are, but to be able to nurture those relationships and to have, to be that bridge. Sometimes that's all you need, right? A connection for somebody to know somebody. So I think we're finally bridging those gaps. I think that we're slowly but surely filling in those pockets. Communication is key. I think we've improved with the communication, and that's one thing that I appreciate about the Alliance, that they are constantly communicating with us and taking in input. It is a collaborative effort. It is very unified. We are not just looking out for the best interest of one area or one community, but we're really coming together. It's helped us, I should say, to better connect. And I have certainly found new friends and new allies in different parts of the state because of it.
So the coalition has done a great job of encouraging collaboration. During these quarterly meetings, during these work groups, we've always created a platform for an opportunity so that people can network with other professionals. We've always emphasized the importance of connectivity. And so by having that networking, that connectivity aspect, we could pull more people together and spread awareness of more initiatives.
again, because, a lot of us are doing the work, but we're doing it in different spaces and different places and with so many things going on. But to have something that unifies us, that kind of collects all of our voices, it's just a really, really great thing. And it's created a bond between us. And, I think whenever the group comes together, we have a really great time. We all look forward to it. And we really care about the initiatives that the Alliance is driving in the community.
Behind the work being initiated by these communities unfolds a landscape of ongoing and new challenges. Families and individuals continue to face barriers that affect their health, education, and ability to thrive. Yet in the face of these realities, communities are not standing still. They're organizing, adapting, and imagining new possibilities.
Access to resources, access to opportunities, I would say, is an ongoing issue. It's one of the biggest barriers that we always face. And, in this particular moment in time, the community is reeling, is very nervous and feeling under attack. Immigration is a huge thing that's affecting our families. Folks are very scared and not wanting to participate in the things of everyday life that, some of us can do so freely.
Community members are just too afraid to seek out care, and we've heard from a lot of our community clinics that we partner with, they have had concerns about community members not going to their appointments or just completely not showing up at all because they're afraid. We can no longer promise community members that ICE will not be involved in hospitals or when seeking care, which was one of our biggest promises with our patient rights workshop. Now we cannot offer that workshop anymore.
As the executive director of a nonprofit, I know personally that the attendance is low. People are not coming out to events as often. People are more skeptical to come out to an event. And so that's a service that they're not getting anymore.
And then lastly, language access, which was really something that we would always lean on because we had at least the protection of language access being our north. We can no longer guarantee that language access piece. We can no longer guarantee community members that they will be spoken to in their language when they seek care. And that really is the biggest barrier because our community members, if you give them the information, they will act on it. But if the information is inaccessible and undigestible, then there's nothing the community members can do.
And so as we build these obstacles and these limitations, it's just hindering progress. It's just discouraging movements. Blaming the problems of America on the immigrant population is the main problem, just because people are not very aware of what's going on and people are not very aware of the obstacles. Just because you were born in a certain spot doesn't mean that you shouldn't have obstacles or you should have obstacles.
I think that is the biggest, most fundamental component of the work that we do is promoting a positive narrative for our community. Latinos continue to be the largest providers of labor for the state of Georgia, and I would dare to say the entire nation continue to contribute dollars through taxes and through commerce and through consumption. So to remind our community that we belong and we are part of community like everybody else, that we built this community and we contributed to it, and we want to continue contributing to Georgia. Beyond that, obviously connecting them with the resources they need. Again, we don't want to create a dependency. What we do want and what we firmly believe is that when given the tools to succeed, community will succeed. And so our purpose is simply to facilitate those tools so that our community can move forward on their own.
A lot of folks in the Latinx Alliance, like myself, for instance, have, been through experiences where there has been struggle, where there has been need, where you have been ignored or overseen, and we've been able to overcome that. And so, being able to show that and to represent that, I think is important. And, just that we kept going, that we kept striving to serve our community, through pandemics and all sorts of things. But that we weren't silenced and that we didn't go away, that we're in it to uplift our people. People need to be able to see, a light. And so with, all these things going on, we just want to be able to keep showing up and really standing up for our community and being a voice for them. That's one of the big things. Advocacy, for our community. I particularly work in the policy and advocacy small group of the LatinX Alliance. And we're constantly thinking of ways of, bringing resources directly to the community, making sure that they're informed and that they're educated, but also centering their humanity, their dignity, and really just uplifting their voices, their stories, and their experiences.
It allows them to pull that knowledge of how can we still navigate these situations with these new obstacles. So it empowers leaders to still do what they can do at most. At the second front, by empowering leaders to still have initiatives and events, you're still being able to provide those services to the population.
Everywhere in Georgia, Hispanic communities are building a legacy rooted in passion and collective action. Their work is not only shaping the present, but the future, and as new leaders arise, the impact of their efforts will echo for generations.
A lot of Latino organizations, a lot of nonprofits that have arisen in the recent years are very volunteer focused, they're very community driven. The main point I want to point out is that, talking about the LatinX Alliance, talking about Gracias ATL, these are Hispanic serving organizations. But at the end of the day, you can't isolate a Latino community from the population, and you also can't separate the population from the Latino community. Everything is interconnected. So the benefit of having a Hispanic serving organization is that you could cater your services to the unique needs of the Latino community, the Latino population.
We really believe that our families are here to grow and to contribute and to seek happiness. So beyond the advocacy efforts that we do, we always try to be present during the legislative sessions from January to April. We have our Latino Day at the Capitol Day, which is at the very beginning of the year in February. We have our farm working families at the Capitol in March. So beyond our advocacy efforts, we continue encouraging community members to vote, to register to vote, to come to the polls, to voice your concerns and how you want the future of Georgia to look like. And we will continue to offer all of our services, our health services.
We're almost at 300 members, so it'd be great, in 5 years to be double, triple that, to see a lot more representation across sectors. Who knows what cool things we'll be doing in 5 years. So I would like to see it grow and expand and, to be that safe space for generations to come.
The population growth in Georgia between the year 2010 to 2022, according to the U.S. Census, is 99% U.S.-born Latinos. We're seeing a rapid increase in the U.S. population, the U.S.-born Latino population. And with that being said, if we have a Latino citizen who has parents who are undocumented, that U.S. citizen will look out for the undocumented people because that is directly related to them. That U.S. citizen will be able to have a bigger role than the parents ever could, just because of that birthright citizenship. That's why it's very important that we focus on the youth, that we focus on building these leaders. Because if we empower them now that they have more options and more accessibility, they could go farther and they could pull the Latino community with them.